Hello and welcome to Never Miss a Monday. I am your host, Stacey Garcia, and I have a not old, a dear, longtime friend I haven't seen in quite some time on the show today. Her name is Lyn Alicia Henderson. She is a multi-hyphenate creative force whose career spans over 25 impressive years in the entertainment industry. She's an actress, writer, spiritual practitioner, mother, and award-winning playwright whose body of work reflects a unique blend of heart, humor, and insight. Outside of Hollywood, Lyn Alicia is a licensed spiritual practitioner at Agape International Spiritual Center, where she enthusiastically helps others heal, grow, and live more fully. Whether she's writing and performing songs on her guitar, shaping unforgettable characters on the page, or offering spiritual support, she's driven by a deep desire to transmute pain into art and art into transformation. Welcome to the show, Lyn Alicia. I'm so happy to see you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here and so happy to see you too. It's great.
Oh, it's been a long time. I mean,
Yeah.
we met, I'm trying to think when I started. So 2008, I think, or 2009 is when I started working at the gym. And you had already been there for probably not a
No, actually,
decade, maybe
2004.
Oh,
2004.
so
Yeah.
5 years. So I would love to hear the story, of how you found the gym that I was working at. But
Yes.
before we dive deep into that, I trained you for a very long time in
Yes.
person and then on Zoom, and I just absolutely adore you. I've always adored you. Do you remember that picture of the two of us in our Namaste shirts that we took? We
Yes.
both.
Yes. Yes. I love that. It's somewhere in the files for sure.
It's definitely somewhere in the files, but we've known each other for quite some time. And my children get so excited when they see you on Friends.
Oh.
So the reruns of Friends, it's just like that always brightens our day, but you've done so much more than that. So why don't you let the listeners know where they have seen you before, your most recognizable characters?
Well, probably the most recognizable from the show ER. I did that for 14 years. I played the character of Pam Olbis, who's a paramedic. I used to come in going, head on collision, chest to steering wheel, head to dash, BP is 140/79, and lift them and do all the things. And I had long braids and sometimes there was blue in them. And it was 14 years of my life doing that show. So
amazing.
Yes, that, and also recurred on Mom and all kinds of just different TV shows and movies. And I was in the movie The Relic, which is a classic horror film. that was actually one of the first gigs I did here in LA.
Wow.
And so there's a lot of guest stars and co-stars and just kind of a lot of work for the 90s and the early 2000s. There was a lot of work back then, so it was fun.
Yes, and you did it all. I mean, you had a variety of so many different characters that you got to play. Do you have a favorite character that you really enjoyed?
Well, as a character actor,
yes.
I kind of like them all. I mean, I think I like the single camera comedies the best, only because you get to be funny, but you don't have to hit it in a certain way, like in a sitcom where it's also stressful because you have a whole show to do in front of an audience and it's live and it's like you've rehearsed a play for a week. So those are fun, but they're a little scary. But
right.
Single camera comedy, you get to have the humor while you get to kind of be real, and that's my favorite place to be, I think. Yeah.
I love it. And so so you moved out to Los Angeles or California because you're from Maryland, correct?
Yeah, I'm from Maryland. So I moved out in basically 1990 and pretty much got married pretty soon right after.
Oh, wow. Really?
Well, no, actually, I mean, I think I married my husband in 91, my ex-husband in 91, and then had a kid in 92. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was California was my place. It was all good things happened here.
And right away for you.
Right away. Yeah, because I came ready.
Oh my God, and it's all your mindset. And we'll probably talk about how that ties into your success throughout the episode today because you do have an amazing mindset. And do you ever feel like you have the manifestation where you're seeing what your life is like and you're like all of a sudden you're living it and you're like, "Oh yeah, I knew that was going to happen. That's kind of how I set it up."
Well, it's funny. I mean, I wouldn't say I knew, but I definitely knew, right? Like I had intentions and I went for it and I was fearless, especially early on. I was fearless and I didn't know that I was creating my own reality. I just knew like even wanting to be an actor, which seemed ridiculous, at least coming from where I come from and, what my family had to say about it. But my big thing was like, I just want to be a working actor and I don't care about stardom or all these other things. And next thing you know, I'm a working actor, right? And it's just
Wow.
like, it's interesting because it's like, no, I never starred on a show, so my early intentions sort of set the precedent that for the last, 25 plus years, I've been a working actor. I've made my living that way. And that intention, and also it's like I wanted to get married, I wanted to have a family, and even though I didn't think, like, let me write it down, it just unfolded just because it
Mhm.
was in my spirit. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um,
And so
and it's
I
it.
just want to hear really quickly because you said you kind of grazed by it, but your family didn't exactly, they were not super supportive with your career choice?
They 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 weren't super supportive, but they weren't unsupportive. I mean, like
Mhm.
my dad, all I had to do was finish college. Like he was just because I
Mhm.
didn't even want to go to college, but he was just
Mhm.
like, just finish college because being an actor seems crazy and ridiculous, and you don't even have enough money to, go out there. But I knew that I just always felt like I can do whatever I want. And I didn't even, like I could have stayed in Maryland because Washington, D.C. has a very big theater community and all that kind of stuff. And there was definitely like a lot of things that come in through there. But I was like,
Right.
I don't want to be a big fish in a little sea. I want to go to where the sea is rough and see if I can like I didn't want I knew weirdly that I didn't want things to be easy. Like
Mm.
I knew that if I stayed in Maryland, everything would be fine. But I already knew what it felt like in my body, that life, and I didn't want that kind of ease. I don't know, this is crazy,
No,
but
it's not. I actually think that's kind of empowering, to be honest, and such a great way of looking at it. So what has empowered you to keep evolving as a creative over all these years?
I think what did you say?
What has empowered you to keep evolving?
Right. Well, what has empowered me to keep evolving is I feel like having a story, a point of view to share.
Mhm.
And that evolves because as I see, like early on when I first came into my career, there weren't a lot of roles for Black people or Black women,
Mhm.
especially. And so to me, it's like, I got to get out there and I've got to be a certain type of person that needs to be on screen to just see myself represented. And
Yes.
then as I started to see myself more represented in certain ways, it kind of felt like, okay, I don't need to carry that in the same way. So it empowered me to like want to tell stories with the written word and with songwriting and in certain ways and reaching certain audiences. Like the music that I play the guitar and I write songs. It's like, it's very folky. It's not,
Mm.
so it's having something to share that people haven't experienced before, because there's a lot of me that people haven't experienced before. You know,
Absolutely.
I've always been like an odd little character in whatever world I'm in, and it's like I want to share that because it is a point of view, and I want to bring people in who resonate with that, because there's a lot of people that are a little off and quirky and weird that need a voice.
Yeah, no,
So,
absolutely. Like you have an amazing voice. Can you share a moment early on in your life when you first realized the power of your voice?
mm, interesting. Um, Well, I would say it's interesting because I feel like the first time I recognized the power of my voice actually came like in the third grade when I was they gave us all these like scripts to read, or these pages, and they were just everybody was like supposed to act them out. And I remember I'd never done anything like that. And we were in front of the whole school, and it was elementary school. And I
Mm.
acted it out, and everybody was blown away. And I suddenly like had the principal and everybody like, oh
Oh,
my
wow.
God, you were so amazing. And like they didn't know because I was pretty quiet. And it was just like whatever came out of me when I read was so like powerful that I didn't even know it was powerful, you know? And after
Oh.
that, like it was just interesting how people like again the principal in the school and the teachers, and this is elementary school, were suddenly like, wow, who are you, you know? And to me that had an effect on them, just seeing me come out in a way that they weren't expecting and used to. And again, growing up, you know, not necessarily being the dominant culture, that
Hmm.
felt very empowering. I felt seen for really the first time, you know,
Wow. Okay. Well,
in that.
that's an unexpected, really cool story that I did not know about you. And what a beautiful lesson for young, children listening to that of like, you never know until you try. You would never know your capability. You never know how others will respond to you as well. So that's amazing. Let's talk a little bit about personal or cultural challenge you've faced early in your career or even now in your career that helped shape your resilience.
Well, I would say even deciding to be an actor, like I knew that that was like not necessarily the smartest thing to do, given how tough it was and how
Mm.
few opportunities there were. But I pretty much just didn't care about that. Like I've always known that the most important thing to me is to do what I want to do. And to live how I want to live and not
Mm.
follow the rules or the things that make sense because it just doesn't feel joyful.
Right.
And so so even as you know deciding and I'm going to be on television or stage or whatever, it was just I'm going to go for it because that brings me joy. The process brings me joy.
Uh-huh.
And I had pebbles along the way that or breadcrumbs along the way that gave me validation, things that happened that were just like I'm supposed to do this. Just like even when I was in high school, you know, again, there was a whole play that they did and the director was just like, we're gonna cast this family. It was the something the marigolds, it was, you know, some play that was old
Uh-huh.
fashioned.
Uh-huh.
They were like, we're gonna cast this play and it's gonna be very family like, so all the family's gonna look like each other and this whole thing. And you know, I was maybe gonna get to play one of the students in the show or whatever. And I auditioned, and when I went to go look at the call sheet or what, you know, who made it or who got whatever parts, I saw that I had the lead. I was like, what? How is this possible? I'm going to be a black mother to all these white kids? You know, it was like you had just said how you were going to have people look like everybody. And I was like, what happened? And I was like, this was not what I was expecting. And she was like, you were just too good. I,
Oh my God.
I couldn't deny you were too good. I just had to cast you. And so that was a breadcrumb, right? Like, okay, you know, like any, not anything is possible. Things are possible.
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to uh just I'm just going to go for whatever I want to go for, you know? And
Absolutely.
I did that continuously early on in my career. Again, there was a TV show in town and I didn't have an agent or anything and I was not on any, you know, but I broke into the audition and then ended up with the lead on this TV show, this local TV show. And
Wow.
again, it was like, oh, I went for it. I snuck in. I did all kinds of sneaky things, pretended like I was on the list when I wasn't. But I had this weird, just sort of faith in myself of who knows what the faith was. It was just, this is what I want to do. So
Right.
I'm going to go for it, you
That's
know?
amazing. That actually reminds me of a John Lennon quote, and I really don't want to butcher it because I love him so much. But it was, and correct me if you know exactly what it was, but it's something like I was in school and the teacher asked me, what do I want to be when I grow up? And I said, happy. She said, you didn't understand the assignment. And I said, you don't understand life.
That's
Yeah,
wild.
and
That,
it's a quote that I always have in the back of my mind because of all my non-negotiables, and joy is one of them. It's like glimmers, finding joy throughout the day. And just what you're saying, you're like, I'm living from joy. Like that's what I'm chasing. I'm chasing what makes me incredibly happy.
Yeah.
And look at what you've done. Like you didn't chase the money. You chased, oh, this character sounds really phenomenal. This, and look at what has happened. Like it has followed you, right?
Yeah.
Which I think
Yeah.
is just such an amazing lesson in life, to be honest. I would like to know a little bit more what your journey's been like as a Black woman in the entertainment industry.
Well, it's been really challenging because also I would just say, like, even say for Black shows, I've
Mm-hmm.
always been considered too middle class. So I'm pretty much uncastable on Black shows. And it's a thing. So it was very, like, when I first came out here, it was very challenging to get any work, or, I would get an agent, but they would send me for, like, the role of LaQuisha from, Detroit, and I didn't have any of those body
Mm-hmm.
energy,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I didn't have that space in me that knew what it felt like, because I grew up very suburban.
Right.
So it was very challenging to get any roles. So I I then I just started focusing on white shows and not even messing with the Black shows. And if you look at, most of my TV roles, the only Black show I ever did was The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And he's
You
from
did The
Bel-Air.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Yeah, I did an
Now I
episode.
gotta go back to that too.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
episode? Do you remember which episode or
I
which
just know
season?
that I played a stage manager, and Regis Philbin was, the guy I was acting with at the time.
How funny. Oh, that's so
Yeah,
funny. And that was the only Black show you were ever cast
that
on
I've
was The
ever
Fresh
cast
Prince.
on. Yeah, and it's not that I haven't auditioned for a bunch, but that's
Right.
the only. So with all the hundreds of shows or whatever that I've done, The Fresh Prince is the only one that I've actually ever worked on.
Have you
Yeah.
ever thought about, because I know you're a screenwriter as
Yeah.
well. Have you ever thought about rewriting the Black narrative?
Well, that's what my writing does do without
Okay.
saying that's what it's doing.
Okay.
That is absolutely from the characters and the stories. And a lot of stories are very me-ish, right?
Mhm.
There's in a lot of my work, there's bisexual characters. There's
Mhm.
characters that are doing polyamory. There's characters
Mhm.
that are biracial. There's, Black woman married to a white guy. There's characters that are transitioning into um another form, whatever that is, right?
Uh-huh.
So I tell those stories, but I always tell them, from the standpoint of their true authentic selves. And it's funny, but it's not making fun of anybody, right?
Right,
you
right.
know and that's always my thing, because I mean, I'm a bisexual woman, and so when there've been times when I've done stuff and they've wanted to make something like really big and crazy, like, oh my god, that's so crazy, and it's like, no, it's a human being, and they're having authentic experiences, and yes, it's funny, but it's not funny because they're that thing. you know
It's funny
it's
because
interesting.
it's true.
Yeah, exactly. It's true. Right. There's true stuff. And maybe that might not happen in your community, but it's a truth. And it's
Mhm.
and that's where we find the specificity relating to the universal. And
That's
so
amazing. Yes. No, like you nailed that. I'm so into all of that. What do you feel like Hollywood is getting wrong with the Black narrative currently?
well, I don't know that they're getting things wrong. I just think that they're limiting.
Mhm.
But I would say it's not the same as it was. I mean, it has
Yeah.
grown immensely. There's definitely so many more Black filmmakers and
Yeah.
storytellers that is getting right, but they still haven't gotten a story that I have to tell right. So that
Right.
means that I still get to create and be something different. And I know that, like, I've pitched, my stuff out there, and people always love it because it is so unique. But the challenge is always, like, they don't know where to put it. That's the
Mhm.
challenge. And,
Mhm.
like, even, I had a short film years ago that aired on HBO. And when it was at the festivals, people loved it. And it was a Black character, and I played it. And it was just this quirky Black girl that, was going after a boy, but she was very shy and goofy and nerdy and all these things, but not nerdy and like, oh, glasses, just nerdy like me. But and because it basically was me. And the thing is, that short was such a hit around the country. HBO ended up
Wow.
buying it. It aired for 3 years. And
Wow.
when I played it at certain festivals, I played it at this the American Black Film Festival, and people were like in the aisles laughing. And then afterwards, all these like celebrities at the time were coming up to me saying, oh my God, I've never seen a character like that. That's so me. Like these, beautiful, women that, usually kind of play rough characters. They were just like, I saw that character and I thought it was me. To me,
Oh, I love that.
that's the thing that's missing in the
Yes.
narrative. Like
Yes.
the innocence, right? Like
Mhm.
I know that like, even though, I'm very much like, I feel like I'm an old soul, but I'm an innocent at the same time. And my innocence comes through in so many stories that I tell, which makes it kind of fun and quirky because it's not just like, I definitely will cover some dark stuff, but
Mhm.
it's with a sweetness,
Yes.
And so it makes it relatable. It makes it like people able to take it in. And
Mm.
so I feel like that's what's missing because, even with so many stories, a lot of times there's sort of sometimes too much pushing of a point of view. And
Mhm.
I try to just let people live and we just get to experience without being,
Mm.
pushed or felt like we're being prodded at in a certain
Right.
way,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
I mean, that's really amazing. Is there any way we can find that short nowadays, or is it's not on any streaming
oh,
services
sure. It's
currently?
somewhere.
Oh,
It's short
okay.
on, it's called Short on Sugar. And yeah, I've seen it online. I mean, I'm sure if it's on YouTube somewhere, but it is called Short on Sugar. You might even be able to find it on my IMDb page.
Oh, neat. Okay.
I feel like, yeah, but yeah,
We'll
it's
have to
definitely
find that
somewhere.
for sure. Well, times have definitely changed since the Sanford and Son days. And did you know
Oh,
my mom worked on that show?
oh
That was
my
one of
God.
my first shows that my mom worked on.
Oh,
Was
that's
Sanford and
amazing.
Son, yeah. So there's
Who did
times
she
have
play?
definitely changed. No, she was behind the scenes. She was an associate producer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
that was her world
amazing.
before I came along until
That's,
she got pregnant with me. She produced.
she's a
And so that
diva.
she is. So she'll have to, like, share stories of I'll have to bring her on and share all of the stories from back in the '70s,
I would
really, when she would
love to hear that.
some amazing I mean, not to like totally get off topic, but she before that in the '60s when she was a dancer and she was too young to go into the casinos when she was performing in Las Vegas when she was dancing with Debbie Reynolds, she opened for Sammy Davis Jr. and she would stay in the wings and just watch him night after night. Everyone else is going, out and she had like a front row seat to Sammy Davis Jr. every night,
That is,
right?
that's,
I was born in the wrong time, I'm
uh,
telling you,
you know, you
but it's
know.
just amazing. I wanna scoot back a little bit to kind of the beginning of how we met and how, I talk about my non-negotiables. I know you listen to the show, and I so appreciate you listening, and we do talk so much about our non-negotiables. One of them, that was recently released is about, physical activity, working out, exercise, and that's where we met, and I know that is a very strong non-negotiable of yours, and I would love to hear your story of why, and I know it's evolved a lot since then, but when you were looking at gyms and you came upon ours, why were you looking? And I'd love to hear that story.
Yes. So I was looking for gyms because I had a heart issue and I'd ended up in the hospital with supraventricular
Mm,
tachycardia. And, for much of my life, I definitely had like heart palpitation issues coming and happening. But whenever I'd go to the doctor or the hospital, they didn't know what it was because it would be gone by the time you get there, or even when I was 10 I was in the hospital because they just didn't know what it was.
oh, were you
um
born with it?
I don't know, honestly. um I just know that when I was little, I was having irregular heartbeats and everything and palpitations. And, but I remember at 10 specifically going to the hospital with my grandmother who
Wow.
panicked. And so it was one of those off and on things and that nobody could ever really diagnose. But when I was at a local gym here in LA, like in 2004, I had a whole heart issue. They thought I was on cocaine, but but no.
Oh,
I was on a treadmill and it just went wacky and started beating out of rhythm, and it was like 300 beats per minute. The ambulance came, they were able to put me on a monitor, and
oh,
because there was a readout from the ambulance monitor, when I got to the hospital, they were like, oh, you need to have an electrocardiologist because you have this thing or whatever. And so I started going to an electrocardiologist, and he was great. At first, he put me on medication, which I hated. And I said, is there anything else I can do? And he says, well, if you worked out every day for an hour and did the treadmill or, whatever, you would probably get rid of it because, strengthening that muscle but you have to do an hour every day or whatever. And I was like, let me try that.
Yeah.
So I bought a treadmill, and I knew at the same time, I also wanted to have other working out happen, but it was always so scary, especially after what happened at the gym.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing is even when that happened at the gym, I was having a lot of arrhythmias then. Like
Oh,
it was
okay.
really out of control. So I was always a little worried when I was working out. So finding a gym that I could actually go to, I was like, it's got to be near a hospital, because even going from that gym to the hospital like took 15 minutes. I was like, that's too long.
Wow.
So when I looked up online or whatever what gyms are near this, different hospitals, and I found Arena that was located across the street from a hospital.
Yes.
And so I went in and took some classes and met everybody and loved it. Like I felt totally safe. They had, everybody knew how to do CPR. They had those little machines. I was like, okay, there's a machine if I need to get it started, because when it goes out of rhythm, sometimes that's what one would need. So that's how I ended up at Arena in 2004.
That's amazing. That is so wild. And so my memories of you at Arena, and not even you there, like in the actual gym, but we had the MyZone. Remember the MyZone belts?
Yes.
And it measure our heart rate, measure our MEPs, our effort rate and everything. And we would have either competitions within our gym, or people would just be super competitive because we'd always have the top 20 all around on like our monitors. And I remember certain people would just get so frustrated because you always had the most amount of MEPs. And I'm like, you guys don't understand. She's not out there like training like crazy. She is committed to herself to like walk on the treadmill an hour a day, and then also exercise on top of it. Like this is her non-negotiable to herself and her health and her well-being. And you were always on the top leader, and everyone's like, I can't compete with that. Like, how do you even compete with that? Were you around when, I'm trying to remember, it was before the pandemic, we had the local fire station come and teach CPR to our community?
Yeah, I
Were
remember
you
that.
around for that?
Yeah.
So we had, early on when I was teaching, someone ended up having a cardiac event
Yeah.
at the gym,
I knew
which
her.
was terrifying. Yes. And God bless her. She's still doing wonderfully. It was just very, very scary. And thank God, like you said, that there was a hospital so close by. So Joe and I tag teamed with CPR until the paramedics came, and she's doing fine. After that, a few years later, my dad's best friend at a brunch went into cardiac arrest. And it was just at my parents' house, and then they lived right across from the gym as well. So all really, really close by. And it was the same situation. And so it was one of those things, like everyone at this point needs to learn CPR. God forbid, you're in any kind of situation where someone needs help. And so like just saying, we all knew CPR, and it's something every other year we would certify for it. But then we ended up bringing in and had a community event for everyone to learn, which was so special.
Special and super important. And that,
So important.
literally, and the thing is going to Arena and having that saved my life in a way, not, saved my life and created more joy, because feeling safe, like I've always loved athletics. Like I was a total jock when I was a kid. So, but in my early 20s, I wasn't able to do it because of all these issues I was having. So it was like, it gave me a certain joy back. So while I'm, doing my treadmill, it's like working out just always felt great. And, I've never been able to, be a competitor, because then I push my heart too much. Right. So it's like, I've always had to stay. So even at Arena, I have to stay within a certain range and not like totally go for it. But doing it for a long time, that was okay. But like pushing myself to like, I'm in the high 90s or whatever, not what I'm supposed to be doing. So, so having like those little fun competitions, it was just like, Oh yeah. This is a I'm gonna kick some booty here. Don't you worry
You,
about
but the
me.
most amazing part about it is that you weren't running. You weren't doing high like intensity. This was you
Right.
walking like at
Yes.
a really level pace to get your heart rate up and keep it consistent for an
Well,
hour,
because I
which is
walked
amazing.
uphill. And what's
Yes,
great,
you're a hiker.
yeah, well, what's amazing too, because walked uphill, I would go and see my cardiologist, every year or whatever. And I have the record at his cardiology place for being, like they have to kick me off the stress test because my endurance level, like they can't run me down. Like they were like, you've beaten all the firemen. You're like, we tell them about like they have my picture on the wall. Like this girl is the top, stress
Yes.
tester. We can't even run her enough to get her to come off. Like, so
So amazing.
that's kind
I
of
love
fun.
it. I love it. So tell me more about your non-negotiables. So what do you make sure that you hit daily? What's really important to you?
Let's see. Well, I have to have my black tea in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
It's got that good theanine in it, so I can get a little caffeine and a little relaxing at the same time.
Yes.
I have my morning grumblings of gratitude. Then I got to walk my dog,
Yeah.
and I of course have to work out, and I have an intentional like nurturing of like my friendships in my community. So I
Mm.
make sure that every day I talk to a friend or a parent, one parent on the phone, or my son every day, old school, just talk, like not text, because I love that. I loved how, my mother used to be on the phone every day with her friends, just talking
Mm.
nonsense. So I make sure I do that every day. That's so important to me. I'm such a like friend community person. Um, Mineral sunscreen every day and a big
Nice.
hat for the skin.
Yeah.
I also, let's see, I never miss a shower at night before bed,
Ooh.
along with my prayers, and my bedroom has to be cold. I think
We're so similar. It's crazy. Like I all do. I mean, you probably know because I like disclose this like on the show. Like I shower before bed, no matter what time it is, no matter what.
yeah, yeah,
I'm the same way as well, and I like a cold room too. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. Well, I appreciate you for always listening to the show and always giving your feedback. I always love hearing everything that you enjoy and your reviews and everything.
I
What do you
love the
love
show.
about what do you love about it?
Well, I love that. First of all, I love how people are so authentic and real and in the moment with whatever they're going through. It's not sugar coated, but um it's uplifting. It's
Hmm.
uplifting to hear. I love how people take all the things that are going on in their life and how they have alchemized their life and created something new. And I'm
Hmm.
so about alchemy, right? So
Hmm.
about transmuting things that are hard and them becoming like the new better normal, right? And
Yeah.
I love hearing those specific stories because, I feel like as a human being, I'm always going through something, right? There's always emotions about so many things, little, big, little angry little thoughts or whatever.
Mm.
And it's just great to like hear people's story, and it really releases me. It really helps me to like feel connected to them, like, oh, this is a friend. This is a real conversation, right? Like the way
Right.
you talk to your friends when you actually share things that you don't with the general public or whatever. And so I appreciate that because there's so much not authentic
Yes.
in the world, and it can just make you feel not seen. And so when I listen to everybody's story, whatever they're going through, however they've made it through, it's like I feel seen, you know.
And what you're doing today is helping other people feel seen. So
Oh,
look at that full circle moment that I mean, it really is amazing. You get it. I know you get it. I think you really understand and grasp why I'm doing this. And so to have you on as a guest was like, absolutely. How could I not? Because you really, really get it. What have you been most proud of, not necessarily in your career, but in who you've become, especially
mm,
as a spiritual practitioner?
mm. I think the thing I'm most proud of is that I trust myself And every day, I don't just listen to the prevailing opinions about something. I trust that I know what I think and believe in that moment, because it can change easily. But I trust myself. So if somebody tells me something can't be done, somebody tells me, you can't do this or this doesn't work, I don't thank you. And I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And I trust, because of the outcomes that I've had, that I'm right.
Absolutely.
And I love that about myself, that
Hmm.
somehow there's an inner knowing that knows what to do in spite of what everybody else is doing. And there's plenty of times where at some point people catch up to what I'm doing. I mean, there's 20 years ago, doctors were saying one thing, even doctors were saying, oh, you don't work out for it. My heart doctor was saying, do this. But every other doctor was just like, no, you can't do that. That's not good. That's not okay. It's like, no, so also choosing to listen to who makes sense to you too, right? It's like, if you're doing acupuncture and that's working for you, then that's working for you. And if they're saying that can't work, that's BS. It's like, no, I trust and believe it's changed my life. And, I've had people say, well, that's just your imagination about so many things. And just knowing and trusting myself is so great, because that means no matter what's going on in the world, I trust that I'm going to do the right thing for myself in that given moment.
Right.
And I appreciate that about.
And I appreciate that, and how strong your intuition is, and how you always are guided by your intuition, because you did have a very strong intuition that came out in a dream in 2020. And
Yeah.
I would love for you to share that journey with us.
Yeah. So in 2020, it was actually January, I had a dream that I had a lump in my breast, and it was like my left breast. And it was so weird because I saw it in my dream, and I was like, that's really weird. And I was like, why would I dream that? Nevertheless, I decided I'm going to go get a mammogram and an ultrasound, even though it wasn't due. They'd put me on the every 2 years list, which was just insane, for insurance purposes. But I made an appointment. I went, and lo and behold, they saw a lump, and they said, we're going to need to get this biopsied. And it was like, okay. I was right about that, but then I was like, shit. So then I pretty much, one of the things I always believe and know, that as long as something is an idea or hasn't really been formulated and confirmed, it's easier to change, right? Like energy, right? So
Yes.
I saw that as a congealed bit of energy, and we don't know what it is yet. And so while I don't know, and your brain is really strong, so I didn't want anybody to get in my brain and tell me something definitive. So before I go for that biopsy, and maybe there was 3 weeks, I did everything to disappear this manifestation. So I went to an energy healer, and at the energy healer, we even talked to, why is this here? Is it here to teach me something? And it wasn't here to teach me anything. So I was like, okay, we don't need this lesson. Good. Okay. And then, we just did some energy work. I did Reiki. I also did a lot of gratitude. I did a lot of praying. I'm a big fan of the 91st Psalm, and I did that, 9 times every day. And that's a behemoth of a Psalm, but it's very healing. I didn't eat any sugar. I fasted. I did a 5-day fast, but my fast was just I would eat avocados and sauerkraut at night. That's it, just a little bit. So it was so the body could still do the autophagy and throw away whatever was gathering, whatever senescent cells, whatever that was. So that was my plan. So when I went to the place to get the actual biopsy, they couldn't even find it.
That's wild.
They eventually found okay, look, but it was so much smaller, whatever it was. They literally was where is it? And so they biopsied the spot, and then it came back, benign. So that was just a whole okay, yes, that worked. From the dream to and it was just definitely showing me how powerful I am as a healer, for myself and for others, but for myself, because knowing yourself helps you to be able to know that you can heal others. And yeah, that was quite a quite a journey. And nevertheless, even though that happened, I'm still always on the, on it, because I've got a family history. I have
Right.
dense breasts. So it's like, okay, can't can't sit and just chill and let them do my every 2 years thing. It's like, no, we're
No,
gonna,
absolutely. And you were such an advocate for yourself.
yeah.
And you did a good job with kind of including like Eastern and Western medicine together. And spirituality and the power of prayer is so huge. And unfortunately, we lost a beautiful soul to breast cancer not too long ago, Ananda Lewis. And she was only 52 years old.
Yeah.
And she unfortunately chose to not get mammograms. So by the time that it was caught, she was already stage 3. And she decided to go just completely naturally and didn't have any form, as far as I know, of medical attention to it.
Mm,
And unfortunately, it didn't work for her. So I think a big message in your story and everyone's story really is looking at both aspects, because the body definitely is able to help heal itself with the right tools. And I'm such a believer in it, but not to, say no to the mammograms and the ultrasounds and to other forms as well. I think that perfect balance is what it's all about in life.
yes.
I have one last question for you. I think you have so much wisdom and so much advice to give to the world, but what is one piece of advice, or life philosophy, if you will, that's guided you throughout your journey?
Woo! Life philosophy that has guided me throughout my journey. Love.
Mhm.
Where is the love in this? So no matter what I'm experiencing, I choose to see the love. And if I'm having a bad day or bad time, I focus on love, because it's kind of a like, oh, that's so grandiose, but I actually, it transmutes anything. It transmutes my anger about something. It transmutes, my hurt about something. It feels very healing. And I know, for myself, when I feel anything, like I one time had an experience where I was angry about something and super happy at the same time. And this
Yeah.
was this was years ago. And I remember like getting out of my car, and I remember it was just such a weird, like I was angry and then I was really happy and my heart stopped. Like my heart, like it stopped bleeding, and it was like I couldn't breathe or whatever. And it was just like, oh, I can't have those two emotions at the same time.
So
Like there
true.
was like a and eventually, actually, when it stopped, I called my friend, and I was and I finally got it back. But that was like such a powerful lesson to me. It's just like, okay, I don't want to accidentally, have that happen again. So I'm just going to always choose the love. And it's not
No.
necessarily the positive version, but the love version. And the love version is
Mhm.
loving myself enough to choose love, because everything is open there. Everything can flow through me instead of be blocked or create constriction. It can flow through me. I can feel the icky part, but it's
Mhm.
flowing through and it's not
Mhm.
jacking up my system. I love
Uh-huh.
myself enough not to let you jack up my system.
Are you writing a book anytime in the near future? I would so read that. What's next for you, Lyn Alicia?
Next for me, I'm doing a play that my ex-husband wrote, and yeah, so that's very
I saw
exciting.
that.
It's yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, so I'm excited about that, and I'm officiating my niece's wedding in the fall.
Oh.
Yeah, so just and living life.
Oh, that's the secret to it all. You gotta live it, right? You can't
Yeah,
dream about it, you gotta actually live it.
I
Where
eat
can you eat it or eat it, that works
it.
too. Where can our listeners support you and stay connected with you?
you know, Instagram, Lyn Alicia. That's the Instagram, and Facebook, Lyn Alicia Henderson.
Perfect. We'll put that all in our show notes so everyone can follow you on your most amazing journey. I so appreciate you for being here, for sharing so much joy with me and with all of our listeners. And I just adore you. Thank you so much, Lyn Alicia.
Thank you. I adore you too. And I wish I could tell you how amazing you are. And when I first met you, I thought you were amazing. And I was just like, how did Joe get this hottie?
Thank you, my dear.
Thank you for having me.